If you're focusing on those things, you're going to have a workforce that is focused on trying to improve on things that they're not good at. So you're going to see incremental change that leads to average. And most of the times, businesses who are trying to grow can't thrive on average.
Welcome to Manage Chaos Podcast, where we give you the startup business rundown in less time than it takes for you to get to work.
I'm Katrina Purcell, and today I am so very excited to be joined by Ginaly Gonzalez. She is one of my very good friends, but besides that, she is also a founder and CEO of Equivida, a people-first HR strategy firm that helps high-growth teams use technology to amplify human potential rather than replace it. Drawing on more than a decade of leading talent strategy and scaling people programs at Meta and Accenture, she designs workplaces where empathy and technology work hand in hand. Ginaly, thank you so much for joining us. We've been talking about doing this for ages.
Yes, I know. And finally it's here. The day has arrived. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So, okay, we are going to break down over this 4-part series all things people, technology, process, but really from leading culture and people first.
Yep.
The people should be driving all of these changes, all of this innovation. And so that's why I'm so excited, because we normally talk about mostly the process side of things.
Yep.
So we're actually going to start with something that I think a mindset coach actually really helped me with, which was like, stop working on fixing your weaknesses and focus actually on your strengths, because those are what make you unique and individual. And I feel like in a lot of organizations, we tend to focus our performance reviews on what didn't go well or what someone should be building, how they should be getting better at something. So let's talk a little bit about what it might look like to use strength-based modeling.
Yeah, I think it's a really important question to be asking, especially when you think about people first. You want to put people where they're going to thrive, and really that's in what comes easiest and naturally to them. And so strength-based modeling does a really good job at making sure that you've got folks doing your most important work from a place that is natural to them, that's going to really drive the best possible outcomes.
I love that. It's that zone of genius concept, right?
Yeah.
So everybody comes to work feeling like they're excited.
Yes. I think it's easier for leaders sometimes to focus on the what's not working, because sometimes through pain points, the gaps really come to the surface. But when you think about it from a performance-based standpoint, if you're focusing on those things, you're going to have a workforce that is focused on trying to improve on things that they're not good at. So you're going to see incremental change that leads to average. And most of the times, businesses who are trying to grow can't thrive on average, right?
Right.
And so when you think about flipping that and putting people in their zone of genius, you're giving them something to be excited about while also challenging them in meaningful ways, and the output is so much greater.
I really love that.
Yeah.
And you can think about how the organizational growth is so much more if people are sort of challenge, but in ways where they are using their positive zone of genius as opposed to challenge in things that they're not good at.
Right. And then the conversation in a performance setting really becomes about asking people the right questions so that they can really see what their strengths are and start leading with that at the forefront versus having it be something that just naturally runs on their back end, right?
Right. In our chaotic early stage startups, typically your zone of genius might be in 12 places. You're wearing lots of hats, right? You're doing kind of all of the things. And some of that might be stuff that you're not naturally good at in the early days, especially if you're a founder. So how do you implement strength-based modeling when your team is kind of small and you might still need them to do something that they're not exactly good at?
Yeah, that's the real world, right? The real talk. How do you bring it to reality? And the reality really is that you're not going to be doing something you love 100% of the time.
You wish, but...
Right? Yes. But, someone's got to keep doing the books, right? Thinking about it from a percentage based standpoint, 20% of the time, you want people focused on your most important work and taking a piece of that pie where their strength is really driving the best possible outcomes. But the rest of the percentage of the work that needs to get done that maybe is nobody's favorite work, it's how do you evenly distribute that? And weave in those people process commercials to let folks know, I want you focused on the things that are fueling you and are going to get us our greatest outcomes. But these are the must-haves that we need to get done, and I really just want you focused on it 10% of your time or 20%, whatever the percentage ends up being. But that even distribution, which gives people something to look forward to while knowing they still have to get the other stuff done.
Something you said really resonates, which is spreading the load of the stuff that people don't want to do. So making sure that it's not one person who's that team player who's pulling the weight of the daily grind. While everyone else is getting to flourish in their skill set.
Yeah, and that's something that can get easily missed in very fast-paced environments. When folks are moving very quickly, it's easy to give someone who's going to give the least amount of pushback all of the things, right, that nobody else wants to do. Yeah. But if you work it into your culture and you make it sort of an organic touch point that people managers are being conscious about, then you start to shift the conversation away from what needs to get done into what needs to get done, who's the best possible person to do it, how do I help them load balance what they currently have so I make sure that the right people are doing the right things.
You also mentioned something which I think it actually, from a people standpoint, is important, but also even from a customer standpoint, is that squeaky wheel normally always gets the grease. If you have someone who's not going to push back on you and who's just going to do the work, you're more likely to give it to them. But in reality, you're burning that person out.
Correct.
And you're rewarding kind of not great team player behavior.
And they're working towards average, not towards optimal.
Yeah. So what is one specific question that founders or managers can ask their direct report in their next one-on-one to uncover this sort of like hidden operational strength? Because sometimes they may not know they have it.
That's the part about it comes so naturally that even the person who's so great at it can miss it oftentimes.
Yeah.
It's not about asking them, what would you say your strengths are? Really what people are going to answer in a scenario like that is what they've heard other people say about what they're good at, because they're going to miss the things that come naturally. So I would probably suggest flipping it to, what did you do this week that you lost track of time? What did you do this week that really gave you energy, that you enjoyed doing? It gives them an opportunity to think about it with less pressure and more just about, what did I do that was so much fun that I didn't even realize the time had flown by?
I think it's also a little bit allowing the open-ended question that is more expansive as opposed to yes or no type answers.
Yes.
Which we learn that with kids as well, right?
That's for sure.
Yes. If you ask that yes or no question, you're getting that as an answer for sure. I think the other problem that I found in one-on-ones is that the person is going to respond with what they think you want to hear. In that manager scenario or in the founder is talking to someone on their team scenario, they're sometimes afraid to speak up because they don't want to say something that might be contrary to what you've already decided is their strength.
Yep.
So how do you establish that level of trust between a manager and an employee that allows them to be able to speak like that?
It's a really great question, and I think it's a very delicate dance when it comes to building that relationship. It really does start from the hiring process, if I'm being completely honest, because you build trust over time. And really, the start of that relationship happens at the onset of evaluating candidates through the hiring process. From an interviewing standpoint, you as the leader knows what environment a potential new hire is coming into. They do not. But there's a way for you to craft your interview guides that kind of sheds light into what type of atmosphere this hire is coming into. And it also helps you really think through, what are the core foundational competencies that I really need in a new hire that's going to help me build trust with that person, and they're going to survive in the environment that they're walking into and even transform it, right? Evolve it for something better. So being very honest with candidates in the hiring process and then continuing to build that trust and transparency once they're in the door really helps that people manager employee relationship over time really flourish in positive ways.
I think we'll get into this on another episode, maybe a bit deeper, but we tend to almost ignore those people processes. You know, when I go into a new client, one of the questions I ask is, what does your onboarding look like? Do you have onboarding? You say you want to hire. What is your hiring process? How does Equivida help organizations think about what that process should look like?
It starts with really understanding the organization, what they're looking to achieve, and first identifying, do they have the right guiding principles to anchor to that then we can build people processes on top of that are going to drive the right cultural behaviors, but also the right business outcomes. It's a kind of the combination of the two.
The values and the culture.
Yeah. Two very important ingredients.
Two very important ingredients that are often not in startup world somewhat understood or assumed, but not written down and not written in a way that everyone can consume them. How do you go about doing that?
I think in the startup world, it happens because you got a group of people that come together on a common ground to build something amazing, which is great. But oftentimes, startups don't have tech problems. They have people problems in the beginning that get sort of, oh, we'll figure it out later because we've got this really important thing to build and do and get out into the world. But if we start treating people processes as real ROI, you start to think about shaping your processes in a different way that are going to serve the people, that are going to help you achieve your ultimate outcomes.
Right. This is maybe a place for us to kind of stick on through the end of this episode, but I think it's so important that people are not just a cost center.
No.
Right? They can truly drive ROI.
Yes.
If you're utilizing them the right
ways and supporting them in the right ways. And I think when leaders start to sniff out disengagement in their teams, oftentimes they will just equate it to an unwillingness from the team. But really, it's a result of the team not necessarily feeling supported in the evolution of change that the organization is going through. And so they want to be in lockstep with the leadership and with the vision. And oftentimes, fundamentally, they are, but they need additional support, whether that be training, upskilling of some sort to get them there.
And you have to really think about that training and upskilling as a program that is important to your bottom line.
100%. 100%. That's really where Equivida comes in to help organizations start to identify that as one of their most important pillars to getting their work done or to growing in the ways that they want to grow. So it's people first means that you are building your processes around the people who are going to be operating within them so that they can thrive and grow and be powered by all the technology to support them to do that.
I think one of the things that's always a red flag for me when I come into a client is when they say, well, I've designed this perfect process. Well, who from your team did you get involved in it? And it's crickets, right? They designed it themselves, or maybe they did it using Claude or, chat. And then they're shocked that people don't take to it.
Yep.
So what's one way that you combat that?
I think it's really focusing on building teams that don't think like the one leader, but that think differently enough to challenge in productive ways processes that are being built. And most oftentimes, if everyone is willing to have the conversation and then talk about what are the good things that need to bubble up to the surface, what are the other pieces that we can let go of to make room for what's really going to work for the people operating within the system.
Right, and it's really bringing them along, right? I mean, a classic change management principle is sort of like you have to actually tell them why you're changing it. Right? Bring them along, ask for their ideas along the process. Don't just say, I've developed this perfect process, it's going to make your life so much better, just do it.
Yes. We brought on all this technology to make your jobs easier and then surprised that we've spent all this money and nobody's using it appropriately. It's the combination of the two. What are the products that are going to help optimize our human workforce?
Right.
What are then the processes that are going to allow them to flourish within the system?
Perfect. Okay, this has been the first episode of our 4-episode arc on people. Where are the people in your startup actually come into play? And I'm so excited we're finally sitting down to do this because people are such an important part of every startup. So thank you for joining us on this episode of Managed Chaos Podcast. We will see you on the next episode. Please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Outsourcing your US tech talent shouldn't be hard. With Pobble.io, we deliver high-quality teams on demand and provide huge cost savings to your business. Try it now at Pobble.io. Mention the amazing guys at Managed Chaos when you email us and get a free market data report. Email contact@Pobble.io.